So we have these tides of Neptune, these waves of the romance and adventure, and the undertows of guilt and dependency and sorrows. And as soon as we get the real, when we're on top of a wave, we know we're on the top of it, we're going in this wave. Wow, I'm riding the wave, and here's the center of gravity down here. And we know the wave's going to crash, and then the next center of gravity is going to build up and make the next wave. But in that process, a very tumultuous world, we're not in control. Well, it's a miracle we live a minute. To live a day, even by germs, it's a miracle we live any day. Life is full of miracles, like Neptune miracles. At the same time, there's so many specific things that have to be done, so many rules and so many regulations on parents and teachers and bosses and kids, so many things that force commitments that if you don't take care of, you're going to be guilty for or sorrow for. This is Neptune. Okay, now Neptune, no, we could stay in this. Anyway, okay, so we'll just leave it there. We'll work around this as we go along. Neptune will never experience a whole cycle of Neptune. Uranus is the only planet, if we live to 84, we can experience our second childhood and second wave, but really every aspect is once in a lifetime. We don't have anything to compare it to, except for the 1, 2, 3 hits that we get. We can compare one of those to each other. But Neptune, we're only going to get 1 or 2. Neptune to itself, it's a 165-year cycle. At most, well, we're going to get to the opposite. We might get to, if we get to the opposition, we're going to be 82, 83 years old. It's never going to get to the next square. Well, nobody lives that long. So you get to the Neptune opposition itself, and not that many people make it to there. When you're there, it's a culmination of where you started from, the belief and how you visioned and saw the world when you were born 82 years later. Wow, it's all changes. Just either you're going senile and losing it, or you're seeing things in such a different way. Everything's changed. What to believe in, where to go. But really, at 82, it's, do you have your spiritual belief in place, or are you still just enchanted or enamored by physical sensations, or emotional attachments, or mental concepts, or mental dreams? All of those are valid, and you can indulge them as long as you want. That's the play. But there is deeper things that come out of this. So in our life, we often get caught, anyone in a long-term thing, a long-term depression. That's a Saturnian thing, but it can involve the other planets, or Neptune can extend this or magnify this into despondency and into a sense of big loss, why bother? But then the depression is a mask of anger and rage. And that isn't necessarily anger and rage, but anger and rage, it covers up this anger and rage. And if there's anger and rage, Neptune will magnify and distort what you do out of anger and rage. I'll fix this, I'll do this for you. If anyone believes they should do everything for you, you just want to get away from it. It doesn't bother me. Let me do it myself. So then the anger and rage really mask for sorrow. I really did so. I got hurt. And I'm feeling sorrow. And the sorrow is Neptune's realm. It's belief, it's rapture, it's vision, it's romance, it's adventure, but it's also the lost expectations, the lost dreams, the sorrows, the things not lived up to. It's the rapture of, I've done something, I've had this dream, I've had this adventure, it was so great. I went on a holiday, wow, it just made my year. You know, like there's Neptune, wow. Half of Uranus to get away from Neptune. It's the dream, the vision. But the sorrow and the sadness and the guilt and the dependency, so many things can go wrong if you just concentrate. There's no end to how pathetic the world can look. And then inside the sorrow is the gateway to compassion. You don't have compassion. You can't have compassion if you haven't had sorrow, because then you wouldn't wish the sorrows that hurt your heart on even your worst anybody. You wouldn't wish anybody to have to go, that's sad, that hurt. But people start to feel their sorrows, they get their pain, get the source of pain. They can blame other people. They can get fanatical. They just shoot someone. They blame somebody. They can get really distorted depending on how centered you are in your life. So great tests and great temptations are tied into Neptune. So as it's going around to itself, really, we get 2 hits. It starts at our birth. It may go back and forth. So we may have a year or so of this little confusion, or that often could be health things or confusing things in birth. Parents being together, not being together, having to adjust, who knows what they're doing. You know, we think we get it. We think our parents are supposed to know everything. They're just winging it. They just didn't necessarily know what to do. They have their expectations and dreams, and we're born in the middle of them, whether we live up to them or not. But it's set. At 42 is the square of Neptune to itself. So the square of Neptune to itself, this is right in the middle of, you know, at 42, Uranus square opposes Uranus. Saturn opposes Saturn at 44. So this is our all these planets, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, all build up with a critical aspect in this 40 to 45 year zone. And that's the midlife crisis. It represents a whole different, we're a whole outer perspective, and these other concerns are changing where we started from, or reinforcing where we started. But with Neptune, there's always a test of vision, of adventure, of romance. It's a test of faith whenever Neptune makes an aspect. And what's Neptune do? Neptune dissolves what doesn't belong, what's got too crystallized, what's got too extreme, it dissolves it, or it makes it go so far it falls apart. It doesn't directly block something, it doesn't directly attack something, but it dissolves it, or confuses it, and dilutes it till it just is no longer as strong. So Neptune can weaken any planet, it can confuse any planet, it can disorient any planet. Of course, you don't get wonder or romance adventure without being disoriented. No one would get married in the right mind if they weren't a little romantic and adventurous. Of course, some people would, this person's rich, I better marry them. Practical. Some people would, but if you're in a marriage that doesn't have any romance or adventure, that has its own isolation and sorrow, where you try to escape it, or believe you can hang in, or so many ways to, so many veils or levels to Neptune. But without it, for sure, we're damaged goods. We may be damaged because we fall in love and take us a lifetime trying to undo it or forgive ourselves or whatever. But we're more damaged if we never even trust the romance and adventure ever, and we block it. Then it's going to show, it's going to manifest one way. If it doesn't manifest in belief or in vision or in romance or adventure, it's going to manifest in disbelief and lack of romance and isolation and dissociation, of scandals, of shames, of sorrows, of not fitting in. Haunting things. So 42 is like you're not 20 anymore. You're not a kid anymore. You've grown up, you've either had your kids or you haven't had your, if you're a woman, you had your kids or you haven't had your kids. A few people have kids out between 40 and 50. It can happen, but it's not, it's still an unusual factor. They still believe I can do that. But often the times there's a change. I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not where I was. There's a sense of being older. Where do I believe? What do I believe? If I don't believe, if I've done the marriage and the kids are grown up, they're growing up for themselves. They don't believe me. What are we doing for ourselves? Where are we going? So this first square of Neptune doesn't come in your young life. It's the first hit of it comes at 42. Where did I really come from? What did I really do? What am I doing here? Where am I going? Is there still some adventure or romance to do? Or is this the way it is? Or do I have to find faith or belief in the partner and in the job and the things we're doing to hold together? So Neptune can be humility. It can manifest as humility, as self-reliance. These are the things that strengthen Neptune: self-reliance, humility, dedication, socially conscious dedication, where you're being helpful to other people. These are really useful. Of course, if you're too helpful, you can be the sucker and become codependent, and you can lose everything for being too dependent on other people, or you're doing too much for other people. But it does solve the sorrows. I'm so lost. Then you go, people working with people in problems. Anyone that's helping in the prisons usually has been in prison. Anyone that's helping in AA has been an AA member, has been an alcoholic. Anybody that's helping in a social cause has really seen and experienced the confusions or loss of social causes of not fitting in, of poverty, of sorrow, of sickness, of illness. So Neptune can bring in confusions and illness, can bring in weakness, can bring in disorientation, can bring in the loss of being able to go for the vision. But it can also, when it's going to its extreme in a projective way, it can be overextended to your weight of controlling your vision. And you're going to fall apart in the process, and you'll never rebuild. You know, like My car's at the park. Oh no, someone left my cake out in the rain and I'll never get that recipe again. Oh no. Great Neptune song. That would be like a Neptune to the moon song. But so there's a playfulness with it, there's a puzzle with it. Something's not as it seems with Neptune when it's moving around in our chart. We see how our puzzle of our generation, of where it is in our sign, we see the house that's in our chart, whether it's above or below the horizon, where our dreams and gullibilities lie. Some people have their visions above the horizon, some people have it below, some people have it rising or setting. We've been through all this, but it's just reviewing a bit just to get some kind of perspective on it. But when it's moving around the chart slowly, it brings this vision, it brings this rapture, it brings this cloud of unknowing, this mystery, this mysterious presence around the chart. And wherever it comes, it dissolves, it confuses, it disorients, it causes sorrow, it causes complications, and it forces one to dissolve the old so that some new vision can come in. So that anything that doesn't belong can fall away or dissolve away, so you can try and simplify. But boy, it's easy. It's simplification or simplicity is a very difficult thing to have. Even independence is a very confusing thing. Independence is Uranus, but Neptune is like, there's so many ways it affects people. It's not what's really independence. So Neptune is this puzzle, but simple humility, honesty, sincerity, self-reliance, these are and dedication to something, helping somewhere where it's doing good. These are ways you rebuild your faith in yourself once you've lost it. If you see some positive Neptune things coming up, and you're going to have the vision or the rapture or the romance or adventure, and you're just going to go wing it. What a difference it makes if you're prepared, if you're working your Saturn to be ready for that great dream. If you're not working for it, by the time the vision comes, you're not disciplined enough to make the most of it, or to anchor it, or to ground as much of it as you can. I mean, one good inspiration is going to require thousands, one good thought requires thousands of hours of making it real to bring it down into the world. One good emotion, oh, wow, to live up to it. Huge challenge in Neptune, but it's puzzling. You can't put your finger on it. When you go to say to somebody, it's just this, you're not going to say it's just this to somebody. You can't talk to someone like that. In Neptune, it's a fuzz, it's a puzzle, it's confusion. Something's not as it seems, something puzzles you. Usually ask, what's happening around here? You begin to start seeing something strange in the neighborhood. Who are you going to call? Ghostbusters or whatever. It's a puzzle. And one person's puzzles are, one person's belief is another person's disbelief. One person's sorrow is another, can be another person's rapture. Like, wow, everybody's doing this. How come I can't? You know, like, so many things have happened. So, and against the, like, on the beliefs of Neptune, so many Saturnian laws where you're not allowed to believe like that. You can't believe like that. You can't do that. You can't believe in this. You know, this is all the Saturn trying to control and defend against the possibilities of Neptune. What if all those confusing things are all the immigrants or all the alternative people end up being in control? They're out of control. We need to defend ourselves. We need to have our gated communities. We believe in that so we can have our own bubble of rapture. Whoa. So what's compassion? What's the balance between rapture and vision and compassion and dedication and sorrow and guilt? Wow. So in a way it involves religious beliefs, but it's more than just religious beliefs, but it does have that side of mea culpa, mea maximum culpa. I'm so guilty, I'm so guilty. Oh, Father, forgive me for I have sinned. And getting the blessing so you can forgive yourself and restore your faith. But it happens in day-to-day situations, not just in the church. There's structures that are trying to, here's a structure to maintain this belief. It's kind of a naive thing. The belief really will dissolve, will make or break the structure, the belief or lack of belief. But then beliefs, people try and define that this is one belief, that's another belief. You can't believe, I believe in this, you don't believe in that. You can't be real. Like, all these extremes are Neptune puzzles. So when Neptune goes along, your faith, your belief is evolving in your life. It's slowly moving along, and you're running into things to believe in or not believe in.